All right, Mayor Biassiata, whenever you're ready, we're ready.
Testing.
Just a reminder for all board members to hit their mic before the roll call.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to call to order the Committee of the RTA Organizational Services and Performance Monitoring Committee. Roll call, please.
All right, Mayor Biassiata.
Here.
Ms. Moss. Here. Mayor Weiss.
Here.
And Ms. Welch.
Here.
We have 4 committee members present.
Fantastic. We have a couple things on our agenda today. The first is the quarterly management report, and next we're going to talk about our second quarter scorecards. Public notice that last Thursday, the Greater Cleveland Regional Transit Authority quarterly management report for the second quarter of 2022 was posted to our website for public viewing. So if anybody has any questions or they want to look at anything specific that we're going to give an overview today, it's out there on the website and available for everyone. Now I'd like to give the floor to Ms. Birdsong to speak a little bit about that report.
Good morning.
Morning.
For the purposes of this meeting, I will be brief regarding the quarterly report. Also want to make a quick note to the board that there were a couple typos in the first few pages. We will be reissuing that to you. It does not change the content. It's more in the header and the footer. So when you do receive that information, we apologize in advance. But again, the information and the content is accurate in that report. Going through, we have a pretty packed agenda, so I'll give you a pretty much a highlight of the quarterly report for quarter 2 of 2022. Reviewing the financials that you'll find in your packet as well as online. We did have routine revenues that came in higher than budget, not including reimbursements, but passenger fares were up around 18.2%, with sales and tax also seeing a heightened increase at 7.9, nearly 8%. Our operating expenses also came in lower than budget, which is a good thing, as well as personnel costs at 4.5% below budget, and healthcare expenses also coming in nearly $4 million lower than budget. In the general fund, you'll also see transfers that are highlighted within your document there, and these are just kind of highlighting the areas that we've moved money over, so to speak, to be able to prepare for and plan adequately for rolling stock, capital improvements, bond retirement, and insurance. As you recall, throughout the last few months, we've been coming to you with several iterations of resolutions regarding insurance, whether it's crime insurance or the like, changes as well to our healthcare, and also several projects that can be put under the capital improvement bucket, so to speak. So we're constantly making a conscious effort to prepare and plan for those projects. And you will see that we have a little over $40 million moved over to the Capital Improvement Fund in order to prepare for those said projects. We also want to make sure that we continue to invest in our not only real estate and facilities, but also our rolling stock. That's important to us and to our customers. We have to make sure that we adhere to those guidelines by FTA. Remember, end of useful life, and you'll hear this later on this afternoon, for a transit vehicle is around 12 years or a mileage cap. And for that, we want to make sure that we have additional funds being moved over to the rolling stock reserve, and you'll see $10.9 million moved over for that for the first half of the year. Also wanted to give you a little bit of a snapshot as to what our bar chart, so to speak, looks like over the last few years, and allocation of capital expenditures per category. As you can see, federal assistance tops the charts when it comes into a lot of the grants that we are receiving and expenditures that we are able to move forward with as a result of that. We actually have a great update for you a little later on this afternoon regarding new monies that have come in for rolling stock as well in rail. So a lot of those numbers are continually to be in the high marks, which is great for us when it comes to replacement for vehicles as well as new rolling stock. Also, just to be able to give you a little bit of a highlight, and I'll do this verbally, for the benefit of the time. In quarter two, we experienced a lot of good press as well. We appreciate the media for also attending our board meetings as we have today. And just a reminder that we had a lot of investment from the staff and from our team and from you as the board to improve our fare policy, to improve our technology that we give to the customers, that we ask people to stick with us as we start to innovate the process. Easy Fare was something that was launched in quarter two. That was our software program in order to enhance our fare gathering on our system. We're really excited about that Easy Fare. We have a pretty good response from the writing public so far, and we continue to refine that process to make it a little easier for folks to hop on the RTA and other transit agencies as well. We also will be rolling out the Transit or Ambassador program. Again, this is a recap for you for quarter two. Those ambassadors will also begin, I believe, September 6th will be their first day, boots on the ground. They're currently in training. They go through a 3 to 4 week long training for that particular program, so we're excited about having that as well, helping with fare collection, helping with just general navigation of the system. And then we also hosted the Secretary of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg, as well as Congresswoman Shontel Brown, through our relationship with Tri-C at one of their maintenance facilities, and really had a robust conversation about the IIJA, and different funding mechanisms that are dedicated toward transportation, and also what can we do here in Cleveland to make sure that we take full utilization of those funds. We also are looking forward to a robust conversation about rail procurement later on in the year. So our team is diligently working through that process in the negotiations to be able to come back to you with any luck with a notice to proceed for our car builder in quarter 4 of 2022. And then to cap off the report, we also have some breakdown, again, as to the federal assistance that has been afforded to us over the last first half of the year, highlighting the $4 million attributed by FTA that was utilized for replacement of the roof at Hayden Garage, and then also $585,000 through the US DOT toward accessibility pilots and research to make sure that we are removing barriers when it comes to poverty and equity for public transportation. So with that, I'll go ahead and conclude the report today. Again, you do have it in your packets per Mayor Biassiata, and also you will receive an updated version of that that will correct any omissions that you see in the headers and footers. But other than that, that concludes my report unless there are any questions from the board for the quarterly report.
Any questions from our committee? Any questions from the board? Great. We're going to move on now. We're going to talk about our TransPro scorecards, where the second quarter results are in, and along with their customer service surveys. These two things together are very important. I use them in my business career a lot because it establishes a baseline. So it speaks to facts. It gets us away from anecdotal information, and we find out where we are today. And next quarter, we can see how we've done and moved that needle from this baseline. So without elaborating further, Ms. Birdsong, if you can tell us a little bit about our scorecards and our surveys.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'll stay with you for a few minutes, and then I'll hand it over to Aaron Bingaman, who is our guest here today, hails from Atlanta, Georgia, by way of a lot of places, and is on the team with TransPro, who is the consultant that we've been working with to kind of get us in gear regarding our metrics. So without further delay, I will go ahead and introduce what we call traction. It is a pun on the way that we operate through the city, as you'll see through the bus and train logo there that we've got, with a magnifying glass, because that's what we want to do. We want to put a magnifying glass on the data. We want to understand how we are perceived in the community, not just here in the building and in the districts, but also within the vehicles and with the customers that we serve every day. We did make a promise to you, the board, to come to you on a quarterly basis to be able to provide that data, and that's what we're doing today. This is the second time that we're coming in front of you, so we are still in infancy stages, but we are learning to crawl before we walk, and we do appreciate the help of TransPro and also the board's support as we continue to refine our metrics. So the agenda that you have today is in front of you here and on the slide. We're going to go through the cadence. And so that's kind of the path that we're taking and the clip that we're operating at as far as performance management. This is something relatively new for RTA. We've had several iterations with performance management and metrics, but to have a take like this is a little unique within the industry right now. I can probably say, and Aaron, you'll keep me honest, there are maybe up to 20, 30 or so organizations nationwide that are doing this. So we're excited to be able to bring this information to Cleveland and this approach to analyzing the data. We'll go over the path to success in 2022 as we prep for 2023, and also bring to you the organizational results and the tactics as well as our schedule for the ongoing quarters. So this is really the schedule I was talking about. This is just to be able to give you an overview of what our intent and our plan is to round out the year. Where you see the we are here is where we are today. So we are reporting to you the quarter 2 results of data. So that's basically, again, we're always a month or 2 in arrears, so we have time to be able to really evaluate the data, see what it meant, and then also prepare for the next. The next report out that we will come to you will be in October. The path to success. Again, just wanted to reiterate this before we delve into the data. This kind of data movement came on the heels of us changing our mission and our vision statement. We went from a tactical to a more visionary, if I can say, and more connected mission statement to be able to spread our wings a little bit and understand why we come here every day. And we also want to make sure that we continue to lead in the areas of innovation and mobility for the community. Focused on outcomes, we're measuring and monitoring metrics that matter. So we want to be able to track our progress and deliver the outcomes in accordance with those metrics and those goals that we set. Again, this is an iterative process. They will continue to adjust during the year 1. This is a chart for you to be able to remind you of the 4 areas that we're focusing in on: customer experience, community value, financial sustainability, and employee engagement. These are the 4 areas that the staff and myself agreed on. This is our pact. This is what we find to be the most important areas of focus right now. They do encompass a lot of different tactics and measures within them. Those are within the scorecards that we have discussed at length before. The metrics are also listed here. Net Promoter Score, you'll hear that a lot today. That's how well are we guarded and valued within the community. It's almost like a Yelp review, right? I say that a lot. How are you recommended either verbally or on paper by someone else to use RTA. You have our definitions here, what our goals are, so that in that way you understand that we're pushing ourselves. Again, these are metrics that have been weighted against what's happening on a national scale. Aaron will go into a little bit more information on that. We're always competing with not only with ourselves, but also with the national market. It's interesting, you'll see a little bit later in, I think our COO gets a kick out of it to see how we're doing in accordance with agencies that are non-transit as well, so that we can review our customer service on a national platform. So we have a joke, I think, within Paratransit is kind of exceeding that bar of customer service, and we're up in the realm of Costco. So if you think about it that way, that's kind of the aim. We want to make sure that you have a great experience on RTA just as you would any major retailer. So you'll see those details. I'll have Aaron go into it a little bit. Again, this is a breakdown of the Net Promoter Score, the NPS. This is the crux of how we review ourselves. You'll see on the right-hand side, that's that nod I gave to Costco there, and I give it to them because they have the highest Net Promoter Score. So we want to not only compare ourselves to the great transit agencies, but also the good retailers. Disney is there as well. Transit agencies usually come in around 35%. Or so we want to make sure that we have a good bar, a good barometer for customer service, and then the airlines, car rental, and internet service providers, unfortunately, pull up the rear here. So as you can start to see how this works, I'm going to hand it over to Aaron to delve into quarter 2, and then I will be on standby to answer any questions as well as all of the deputies for the divisions that you see today. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, Ms. Birdsong. Thank you, Mayor Basiato, members of the committee. Aaron Bingaman, Transpro Consulting, excited to continue our engagement with RTA and not only the reporting on traction, but seeing the team's implementation and execution of its strategic plan. I think we're all familiar with organizations that have strategic plans that sit on shelves. I can trust you that this team is actually pursuing the activities and tactics that they think are going to make a result on impacting the metrics that matter for us. To report on our results for the second quarter that RTA has achieved here in our 4 areas of success. The customer experience performance goal, our target, what we're trying to achieve is a 26% on that Net Promoter Score. So a positive 26 is the target. After the second quarter results of our customer satisfaction, we're at 13%. And I'll show you another slide here in a moment. We actually went down from the first quarter to the second quarter. I think it's really important to remind everybody that this is not a process to stand in front of the public and talk about what a great job we're doing. The reality is sometimes we're going to have declines and changes, and let's have a conversation about what the team is going to do with this data to improve their outcomes. In the area of community value, our score target is 100. Right now we're at a 90, performing at a high level. We are on track to deliver our financial sustainability outcome. And for employee engagement, I'll describe this for everybody. Our goal is to be at a negative 2%. You can have a negative Net Promoter Score. It's on a scale between negative 100 to positive 100. It means that the percent of our detractors is greater than the percent of our promoters. Currently, we are at a minus 2.5%, so working towards that goal of minus 2. We gather that information from an employee engagement survey, which we'll talk a little bit about. So here we are, peer benchmarking, particularly on the customer, community, and employee Net Promoter Score metrics. 2 things I'll highlight first, the middle and right slide, the community perception value and the employee Net Promoter Score value are the same as last quarter because we are assessing that information twice a year. So there will be a community value survey occurring during the third quarter. So the Q4 results will include a report out on how we've done from the first wave to the second wave. And same for the employee Net Promoter Score. So there will be an employee engagement survey happening late third quarter. Sorry, I misspoke. Community value perception survey will be happening late third quarter. So when we report next time, we'll have that data to have 2 quarters of information to populate for us. Looking at the customer Net Promoter Score, then our focus on that customer experience, you can see we were at a 25 in the first quarter. We're at 13 right now in the second quarter. In speculating why some of that might be, one of the things we anticipate is that we've discussed as a team here is that, well, ridership has increased, so we have more people on the system, so we might be getting a different kind of feedback, maybe a different level of appreciation than folks that were surveyed in the first quarter. A reminder that we execute these surveys. This is a random sample on board with professionally trained surveyors. We sample every 5th passenger, and we get a representative sampling of both our passenger demographic profile as well as by percent of ridership on the vehicles. So we went down. And so the question is, well, what did we learn from that data and what are we going to be doing differently going forward? A couple things that we also look at in the customer and industry comparison, and I apologize, I'll toggle back real quick. The gray bars then reflect where we are from the industry sampled average. So the industry sampled average for customer Net Promoter Score for transit is a 35. So we are behind where the industry is. Same with community perception, we're right on. And from the employee Net Promoter Score, different agencies experiencing at different levels of engagement. So that's something that we know George and the team are working on. Apologize. For the customer impression comparison, there's the Net Promoter Score again. Levels of satisfaction also went down slightly. The impression of our on-time performance went down slightly. The impression of operator courtesy went down, and vehicle cleanliness impression went down most significantly. And I know we'll talk a moment about some of the strategies that the team is using this data to make data-informed decisions to improve the quality of operations. And we would anticipate, if we're doing that well over the next couple of quarters, to see these numbers start to bounce back as we also get better understanding of who our customers are and some of their issues and challenges. Things that have been reinforced for us that we learned in our first couple ways, and we're gaining granularity on the focus of the strategies that are going to really allow us to impact that customer experience. And they're really oriented towards two things: vehicle cleanliness and security, waiting for and writing vehicles. So those become two focus areas where we're using the data to inform the decisions we make to improve our experience. Ms. Birdsong, did you want to highlight these three areas of focus for us?
Absolutely. You can remain at the podium because I know we're going to toggle back and forth a bit. So just wanted to be able to kind of lean in on these a little bit for the board so that you had a better understanding of how we're going to attack those numbers. And I do mean attack because we find a professional offense, right, that we're not at a certain level of expertise and excellence within the community. So we do understand that we have a higher ridership. We also have a discriminating ridership, and we want to make sure that we're giving them our best every day. So out of those areas, there's a lot to be able to look at. We feel that the top three areas of focus for us should be clean, safety, and on time. And the things that you see kind of highlighted below that under each one are what we're going to do in order to attack those areas of interest. So for the clean part, the rail cars are a major concern for some of our customers as far as if they're perceived as clean enough for their liking, and we understand that. So we're including a rail car sort of clean assessment and being able to bolster that during intraday cleanings at Windermere Station. So this injects another layer of cleaning of those particular rail cars so that we also have a visibility for our customers to understand that we are taking this seriously, and we appreciate the fact that we have to remain a safe and clean system in order to get the ridership that we want. We also are increasing our manpower for bus cleaners through operations. We understand that that's something where we have to put the bodies to the work. We simply didn't have enough manpower to be able to kind of attack this in the way we wanted. So we are increasing that, and have discussed that with our budgeting folks as well as our operational folks and been able to address that. And of course, our operational head, Flance Caver, is here to answer any specific questions as well as HR as far as numbers. We're decreasing the days between interior cleans so that we can be a little bit more robust. And then also we're having a QA program implemented. I jokingly, but not so much, discuss, hey, what does QA mean for us, right? And that's accountability. So we're making sure that we have a follow-up and a check on those cleanings that are being implemented. A supervisor, and correct me if I'm wrong, Doc, is being assigned to this specifically to make sure that we go through and check behind our workers to make sure that we're doing things up to the new standard. So we expect to see some significant changes as far as perception for clean. Safety, we're also rolling out the Transit Ambassador program, so we went through that, and also an increased police visibility at hotspots, and we're using GIS data. That's more of our geo fencing in our area to be able to find out exactly what those hotspots are, high crime areas and the like, and also just high traffic areas to make sure that we have increased transit police visibility. And we do have the support of our chief, who also is sitting here in the back as well. We're utilizing that camera technology in order to kind of zone in on those areas that do have high traffic and might have more propensity for incident. On time, we actually are currently operating at 84%. Which is about standard for our industry. But again, we want to continue to zone in on that. And we would like to review the route data to address issues regarding on-time performance, so we can always bolster that. And we also are working to improve the perception of on-time performance. Again, I say that's the perception. So the actual is 84%. However, the perception of wait time hovers around 68%. So that means we have some work to do as far as the perception of the public to be able to get folks to understand where we actually are versus what's the perceived. And that could be anything from connectivity to waiting environment to a lot of other areas that might lead people to believe that we are less on time than we actually are. So with that, I think I'm handing it back over to Aaron.
Yeah. Thank you for that. You can see the team's laser focus to try and orient itself to those few vital things that can influence our customer feedback and being driven by what our customers are telling us rather than episodic reactions and a few complaints. So Great focus by the team there. So comparing the two quarters just side by side, wanted you all to see this, where we were at the end of the first quarter. In total, towards our balanced scorecard, RTA was at an 83.2. Today they're at a 90. That is obviously trending in the right direction, and I think we all recognize that that focus on the customer experience is going to be the thing that allows us to continue to move the needle on our organizational performance. I think we also recognize then to ask the question, what is the team going to be doing to maintain the strength in the area of its community value and financial sustainability? So those become the strengths to maintain to allow RTA to continue to perform at a high level. We wanted to show you, just because of really the delta in the actual goal points to targeted goal points for customer experience being 35% of our score is our most important thing. Just to be able to see some of the sub-factors that contribute to that. Our Net Promoter Score is in there, our overall customer satisfaction rating, on-time performance, impression, and actual. So Ms. Birdsong highlighted, right? We have a gap between, we're at 84% on time, but 68% of our customers don't, only 68% of our customers recognize that we're on time. Sounds like we have a communications opportunity. So how does, it's not just an operational decision for us to close that gap. How do we engage partnerships and work cross-functionally throughout the enterprise to be able to move the needle on that? Same for safety and our operator courtesy impression and vehicle cleanliness impression. All critical factors to moving the needle that the team is focused on. This is, it's August, right? I got to make sure. All right, very good. So this is August. We are reporting our second quarter results. We'll be back with you in November. We should have a third wave of customer impression data. We'll also have a second wave of community perception and community value perception data, as well as, I don't want to misspeak, will we have employee engagement data, Dr. George? Will we be ready for that, or will that be fourth quarter results? Employee engagement will be happening. I'm not sure if we'll have the results for the third quarter or the fourth quarter, but before the end of the year, we will have employee engagement feedback. Okay, George.
Yes, Aaron, that would be fourth quarter. Will we have the results?
Thank you. Appreciate that. And then in the fourth quarter results, that will actually happen, obviously, after the first of the year because of the month and a half lag. The team will also begin to focus on 2023. This has been a learning experience for us. And so in this first year, part of it is falling into the rhythm of how we do this, communicating with transparency the results that we are achieving or not achieving, and making sure we're measuring what matters. Are we measuring the right things that reflect our ability to move the needle and have that impact? So the team will take a look at its success outcomes and organizational performance scorecard, make some tweaks and modifications, of course, in collaboration with the board and achieving alignment with that. And a reminder that your CEO's evaluation, the objective nature of that is based on how we achieve as an organization these success outcomes. So a really important conversation to be happening in the fourth quarter in preparation for 2023 as well. We'll pause there and invite your questions and do my best to answer what I can and phone a friend if we need help. Trustee Moss.
I have a question, is just really because I see some of the variances are very large, and it's hard for me to believe that in a matter of 2 or 3 months that things change so much. So my question is like, do we have any idea of like what's the margin of error? Because data is only as good as the quality of the data, garbage in, garbage out. So when I see huge variances, my past experience in life is you don't change things overnight, and things don't go to hell in a handbasket in a quarter. So like with a margin of error, that I guess that's my first question, is like, how do we know that this data is accurate?
Yeah, I mean, the process, particularly for I assume you're focused on the customer information, right?
Right, because there seems like there was some big variances
here, and
I don't, I guess I'm skeptical that the variances are really that different in a quarter.
Yeah, as I was mentioning, and Doc, if you want to come on up too, for us, I think it's part of it is learning what is the true balance of our customers. In that first quarter, when we surveyed, we had fewer passengers. Maybe those passengers were more satisfied because they were continuing to be able to access service. I think it's part of doing periodic, making sure that we're doing this consistently, we'll start to normalize that. I think after a third quarter, we'll find out either 25 was more of a proper sampling or 13 was, and what the anomaly was inside that. But as far as method and validity, we're using professionally trained third-party surveyors in the field, consistently taking the survey and applying the survey with a tablet. We have a representative sampling of ridership based on routes. So from a method perspective, it's a tested, proven method that's been used at over 50 properties around the country. So as far as confidence in terms of what is happening in the field, we feel good about that. On the community value side, that is typically a statistically valid sample, plus or minus 5% to that. It's not a political poll, to be sure, but it is always a representative sample. So, and we use third-party phone-based.
But that's an easier move than the customer. And also, I don't know when in the methodology, do we go all over the system on each time?
Please,
or are
go ahead.
we like different times we're doing different, and that might be reflected as well?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Ms. Moss, to everyone. I'm Flauncey Caver, the Chief Operating Officer for the Greater Cleveland RTA. And so I want to talk to you about the methodology. In the books that you guys have, the methodology is on page 4. And so the methodology that is used is a proven methodology for random samples. When the team goes out to survey our customers, they do so based upon the ridership of our natural customer base. And so the majority of the samples will be on those lines that have the majority of the people. And so they do get a good spread across our system, but the numbers are weighted to where the ridership is, which is a representative sample of our ridership.
And if I could add on to that, I would say, and these are very good questions because we had the same ones, right? We want to make sure that we're not radically adjusting our ways of doing business because we had a bad quarter, right? So we want to make sure that we also are thinking about things like weather. We're thinking about things like special event, reroutes, anything politically that might be going on to dissuade people from public transit. I mean, I'm just kind of thinking outside of the box here. And also understand, too, that we're in quarter 2 of this process. So this is kind of our trial year to make sure that we can see what those sways are. So we do ask those questions as well. I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, we've got about 1,200 surveys that go out each quarter, if I'm not mistaken. And that's almost, I think from research I've done, we've talked about either 50% or more than your average sampling that might be given at any given time. So we're doing more than what's expected to understand what the ridership is saying. So that's a good confidence level to have in saying that we're taking a good sample set and we're doing it quarterly. I think where 1,200 is usually the annual, right, for most companies to see what the customer perception is. So I think what we'd like to do is see how the year takes us and see what those fluctuations are as well, and then go back to what are we doing as an agency to be able to get at those areas. In my opinion, if safe, clean, and on time comes up, regardless of what that percentage margin is, those are the areas that we need to focus on. And to your point, Trustee Moss, go ahead.
I would say that that's true. I was going to follow up is I think that like you can see a general trend, and I think that the safety and the cleanliness and one of the things is, and Flauncey and I have talked about the cleanliness before, is that there is this, to me, is they could be clean, but if you go on that red line, that upholstery is just like, I don't sit on it, honestly. I stand from the airport to downtown because I just don't, it does not look clean to me. So I think that they could be clean. It just could be that they're just old and they all that, but I think that little things can make a big difference as far as perception, because if someone comes on, that's their gateway into our city. And when you get on the train, and there's not trash there, it's not dirty in that sense, but it's looking old and tired.
Yeah. So I think if I can, I think you're spot on, right? So some of those conversations about the perception, I can't remember the slide, we just had it, but the perception, even the on-time performance, right? 68%, I think it was, versus 84%, and give or take, I think I got my numbers right. But the same thing goes for cleaning, right? So if we're out there and if we go toward the slide in the beginning that shows what we're doing as a plan of attack, right there, thank you. We want to make sure that we're cleaning in front of people, right? We're showing them that we're doing the work, because to your point, Trustee Moss, if our service, and we all know that our rail cars need to be replaced, we all know that, we're running on some of the oldest vehicles in the country, that's a hard thing to convince somebody that it's clean and sterile if the upholstery is older, or if the wear and tear kind of takes its time because of salt and so on and so forth. So we want to make sure that, I think, although we're going to have some margin of error and trends that will sway back and forth, this is personal opinion, right? We don't survey the same customers, it is random. I think we want to make sure that our track and our line of thought for the business is correct. And so far, we've come up with these three, and that hasn't wavered very much. So to your point, I think this is a reinforcement for making sure that, honestly, the comments and the complaints that we do get, as well as the commendations, are in line with the operational tactics that we have, and that's really the point of it all. So I appreciate it, and I think you're spot on with that.
And Ms. Birdsong, if I could add, and Ms. Moss and I have had these conversations for several years, and appreciate Mrs. Moss's leadership several years ago, and that kind of helped us to convert from the cloth-based seats on our bus system to the plastic seats, which allows a person, our team, to be able to clean them very easily. You don't need a steam vacuum and things of that nature, and so you can clean them. And so we do have a really good, we had a really good acceptance of the plastic-based seats that are on our buses, because you can just make them cleaner. And we're continue to purchase all of our new buses with those seats.
I am a fan favorite of the plastic seating. I'll just put that on record there.
Question? Floor is yours.
Thank you so much. I just want to say I appreciate, of course, as always, this data, this information. I appreciate the fact that we aren't just band-aiding like requests that are coming in, that there's an active pulse on what's happening with our riders, with those we serve. And I know it can be difficult, especially when we're, trying to make moves to better our service. But I just want to say, I appreciate this data. I appreciate the fact that there are action items being put behind this data. I think it could be very hard for people who are on the outside looking in, not to understand the ways in which this leadership team under you, India, has been really working very hard to improve the ways we are writing RTA. And I just want to say all of this is proof of that. And thank you for just having a pulse on it, making sure that we are addressing the needs of those that we serve. And I just wanted to say I appreciate that.
I wanted to ask, what department actually put this together?
Yeah, so, Reverend Lucas, this is Flauance Caver. The document is actually produced by Transpro. They have the assistance of our business intelligence group, along with Dr. Walker Minor's team to create the data and conduct the studies.
Was this printed in-house?
It is.
In what department?
Support services, so the mailroom downstairs.
It's an excellent report.
Yep.
Where it's put together. I wonder what was done here. All right, thank you.
Any further questions? The floor is yours.
Thank you. Again, I just want to follow up to my colleagues. First of all, again, the fact that we have this data, this is the first time we've started this. We've sort of been, as a board, flying without this type of information, and so to have the information is key. I want to also point out that I think we're going to see that fluctuation that Karen is mentioning quarter to quarter, because we're doing random sampling. And because of random sampling, I don't think we're going to get some of the same people. So I think we should just prepare ourselves that, each quarter will go, sometimes it's going to go higher and sometimes it's going to go lower. But what I appreciate is the report showing us that comparison from quarter to quarter. So I think that that's very helpful. I'm glad we're back on this slide, because I was going to ask us to go back to this, because I have a couple questions and then a couple comments. It says rail cars inter-day cleanings at Windermere Station, and then below saying decreasing days between the interior cleans. What does the decreasing the days between interior cleans reference buses, or does it reference buses and the rail cars?
Both.
Okay. One of the things I think we should treat the cleanliness of both the rail cars and the bus cars as a health safety matter. And the reason why I'm saying that is because we're still sort of kind of in this space with pandemic / monkeypox / all this other stuff going on. And the one thing that the pandemic did teach us and show us, and I think we have some examples in the transit industry, in the aviation industry, and across the nation, as well as internationally, is that it created technology and different ways to clean our buses and clean our areas and clean our workplaces. And I think TransPro, Aaron is shaking his head, can probably help us get some examples of ways that we can actually go on and clean these buses probably daily, more than once throughout the days. I think that would help. I don't want to minimize the importance of cleanliness because I think it's more in the responsiveness and the concerns about cleanliness that people are not saying that has a health safety matter to it. And so there are technology out here and or cleaning companies who have changed the way that they clean, who have technology. I think MTA uses it where they show the technology where they go on and they spray their buses, sanitize their buses within the hour. It may not be that deep clean, but it could do something that can help us sort of kind of put a little pin for cleanliness in between these cleans. And I do think we should get to a level where we're cleaning our buses daily. So I'd love to see us come back to this board with something that really takes that level of cleanliness on our buses, on our trains, and our bus stops at a higher level. So I'm just going to throw that out there. It's not to react to today, but I think it gives you something to come back to us on because I think we can go deeper on this with the cleanliness. The other thing, even if it includes, looking at contractually working with some of the janitors out here that actually do that. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I actually think, I don't know where we would put this, India, but I think that maybe there's another category. I keep hearing, the friendliness and courtesiness of the drivers. I think it goes both ways, obviously. I'm not saying our drivers are not courteous, they're not being courteous, because sometimes it could be just a perception issue of that rider that morning or vice versa. But I do think we should track that. And that maybe that'll come out at the end of the quarter survey from employees, but maybe highlight that a little bit so we could show just at least we're tracking that a little bit. And then, India, you mentioned there was 1,200 surveys that we send out. Are those results of the 1,200 surveys included in what we're looking at here? Because I thought this was a sampling of actual riders, but are the results of those 1,200 surveys, I think, that you do on a regular basis, captured here? So
Thank you, Trustee McCall. So the 1,200 that I alluded to were the surveys for the quarter, and that's the data that you're seeing in front of you.
Okay, so this is it. So we did a sampling of 1,200 people this
Right.
quarter. Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay. And then there was one more thing I wanted to touch on. On-time arrival. I like the fact that we're tracking this. I think we've gotten so much better with on-time arrival, to be honest with you, especially with Paratransit. We've made yeoman strides on that, but I want to keep our fingers on it just because we're not like the aviation industry, but the fact that the Secretary is paying a lot of attention to on-time arrival and cancellation on the airport is sort of like, okay, mommy's paying attention to Big Brother, so as little sisters, we bet not like slip on our game. I think we're doing really good on this, and I think the fact that we're making it a matrix that we want to continue, we're not there yet, but we're doing a lot better. I just want to make sure that we're still staying on top of that. But overall, the fact that we have these stats, which is something we did not have before, is really good. I'm not going to go walk you through my matrix. But there was one point in the matrix that I think.
What page are you on?
On our key driver analysis, I'm just looking on page 26. There are a bunch of them throughout here. But the one that says lower priority in our key driver analysis, I know what that means, but maybe we can rename that. because we don't want to give an indication that, let me see, operators being helpful and courteous, customer service representatives being helpful and courteous is a lower priority.
About
So maybe,
reduced focus?
yeah, maybe we could rename that, because it's not a lower priority. It's as equally important as our strengths to maintain and our nice haves. But I know that's an indicator, but I just want to point that out, because to the public looking at this, it's like, wait, that's not important to you all?
Yeah.
It's important to us.
No,
So that's my only little point.
Thank you, Trustee McCall. That's a good push. And the way we think about these key drivers and what you're looking at on that T chart is, what are the things that will have the greatest impact? What are our customers telling us will have the greatest impact on that overall Net Promoter Score? But it's a good push, and I think we can make that refinement in future editions.
Thank you.
And I'll say, if I can hop in for a second, because we do have members of the public that are here, so I just want to reassure you that you are important to us. And I appreciate the comment and the suggestion. Again, this is perception, right? It's important. So if we have a perception of not being important, then that's the feeling that's out there. Again, this is a business model, and so some of this can also be adjusted. Everything on the sheet, if it makes it into the report, and even those things that don't are important to us, we have to just make sure, and you know this, of course, I'm preaching to the choir, excuse me, pun, not intended, but we've got to make sure that we prioritize certain things so that we can keep the eye on the ball. And just for the members of the public who are listening, and also for the team, this is making sure that we have that goal setting, and otherwise we kind of can try to attack everything at the same time and then lose focus. So really, this is just a reprioritization for us. But rest assured that everything on this chart is absolutely important to us. We just want to make sure that we're able to readjust as things become more emerging and urgent, that we can keep our eye focused.
All right, let's wrap this. All right.
Thank you. Reverend,
Mayor?
do we have any further questions? Well, before I move to adjourn, I'm going to affirm Ms. McCall's statement. One of the things I've heard from many of our riders has been operators being helpful and courteous, particularly among our new hires. So I want to that needs to be a focus, and there should be a metric around that, more specific than just one bullet point on a larger score. But overall, it's fantastic information. But like I said, I'm agreeing with Ms. McCall that's something we've been hearing from the people we represent as being very important, and it probably needed a little more real estate in this report. That said, any questions from the board as a whole? Well, I'm going to move to adjourn the committee. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any against? Committee's been adjourned at 9:51. You're welcome.
I'd like to call to order the Audit, Safety, Compliance, and Real Estate Committee. Teresa, will you call the roll?
All right. Mayor Kumar, Ms. Moss,
Here.
Mr. Joyce,
Here.
Ms. McCall,
Here.
and Mayor Weiss.
Present.
We have 4 committee members present.
Thanks, Teresa. So I'm substituting for Mayor Kumar, and the board committee. This committee actually met on August 16th, and we heard the internal audit departments and the staff on a number of issues. They gave us detailed results of their quality assurance improvement program, self-assessment, and the next step is for the audit committee and internal will select an independent assessor. And then the other thing we heard is the internal audit department is replacing their audit management system. And finally, we had a detailed report on the internal audit activities. I'm going to turn it over to Anthony Garofoli, who will give us the summary of the internal audit activities for the second quarter, or to highlight anything that I just commented on.
Thank you, and good morning, Vice Chair Moss, members of the Audit Committee, Board of Trustees, and Executive Management, and guests. For the record, I'm Anthony Garofoli, Executive Director of Internal Audit here, and I will be presenting the results of the internal audit activities for the second quarter 2022. Please refer to the report that was provided in your packages. And as Vice Chair Moss said, on August 16th, we presented these activities in detail to the Audit Committee. Today's presentation is a summary. I wanted to speak on pages 3 to 4 in the audit is the audit plan in the report. This is where the Audit Committee referred to the full board and was approved in the March 2022 meeting. We continue to execute this risk-based plan. On pages 4 through 8, please find the results of 7 audit projects completed during the second quarter. These projects are the employee travel, expense, and requests, a Federal Transit Administration post-delivery review of the 20 compressed natural gas replacement coaches for the Triscuit District, an audit of our consolidated train dispatch system. This is a system that's used to control and monitor the rapid transit signals and signal system and switches from a single facility. We also did an audit of special event revenue collections. This included St. Patrick's Day and the opening day of the Guardians this year. We did an audit of our mobile ticketing application. We also did a review of the final federal drawdowns from the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. And the last project we completed during the quarter was an audit of our sales agent collections. Again, we shared these audits in detail with the Audit Committee. We met with management, received their responses to our audit recommendations, and released the reports. We'll track the implementation of the recommendations within our audit management system. On pages 9 through 12, please find the results of our continuous auditing program. This is where we develop audit scripts to interrogate system data, completing 100% audits of the transactions. We executed during the second quarter our fare collection script this represents about 94% of the onboard fare collection system represents about 94% of the fare collections. The system is working as designed. Credit card transactions posted to the revenue account records without exception. And then we validated some immaterial differences found in the off-board fare collection system. And the root cause of these differences continues to be vendor programming errors. The second script we executed was our purchasing card script. We selected a risk-based sample of employee reports to evaluate compliance. And we met with management to provide a report with any question costs for further review. The last script we executed was our Paratransit certification database review. And this is where we're comparing the vital statistics from the state of Ohio for folks who have passed and our eligibility certification database. And we are scheduling a meeting with management to share that information. So we have a clean and updated database. On pages 13 through 26 are various projects at various stages of completion. And please note, for clarity, we provided updates to our readers for transparency and information status. This section includes projects where fieldwork is complete and we are waiting for management responses before we release the report, which is our standard process, and projects we are actively completing. I'll report on these projects in our next Audit Committee meeting and then subsequent board meeting. I do want to speak on one project. Here is our internal audit self-assessment, which is part of our quality assurance improvement program. As required by our professional standards and the GCRTA internal audit charter, we completed a self-assessment to evaluate our conformance with the Institute of Internal Auditors standards and code of ethics. We shared the results of the self-assessment in detail with the Audit Committee on August 16th, 2022. We implemented several lessons learned. Next steps, as Vice Chair Moss said, are to procure the services of an independent assessor to validate our self-assessment. On pages 27 through 28, please find the details and results of our special requests and emerging issues. We reserve about 15% of our person hours for these types of projects. During this second quarter, we completed a request from the Ohio Department of Transportation for a special investigation into a complaint filed by an RTA employee. We concluded the complaint was unfounded and without merit. We met with ODOT officials and management to share our report. On page 28 is our effort to work with external auditors. Please note the state auditor completed the 2021 single audit and met with the board and management in June of 2022. This audit report was released by the state of Ohio on July 26, 2022. For your information, General Manager CEO Birdsong's office received notice that in October of this year, the FTA will do a drug and alcohol program compliance review. And for your information, both the Human Resources Division and our office recently completed that same review, and we will share our results with those auditors. The remainder of this report is informational. We will continue to follow up on all audit recommendations to validate corrective actions that are implemented. We participated in a number of steering committees and meetings to learn and share risk management strategies. And I also provided our staff training for the quarter, on page 33. I can answer any questions that the committee or the board may have at this time.
First, I'd like to note is that this is a little bit different. This year, we started implementing a new program. So we meet quarterly. This particular committee meets quarterly. It's, of course, open to the public. When Mr. Garofoli's team presents to the actual committee, and we go into a very deep dive on these, and lots of questions are asked. And the really great part of this is we get to meet the audit team, and they are a dedicated and dynamic group, and it gives them a chance, some of them younger people who get to present, and we get to know them, and I think it gives us more confidence of the work that's done. And I wanted to thank Tony and his team for the good presentation and how and I think this format's working really well. Yes, Ms. McCall.
Madam Chair, to Mr. Chair and our CEO, maybe at one of our quarterly meetings we can do an abbreviated version where Mr. Garofoli brings his entire team. And introduces them, because sometimes when we see it at the committee, it sheds a different light on the work that's being done and the leadership that's had an internal audit. And so I know this takes a lot sometimes when it's on a board meeting schedule, but it would be good for the board to see that work and the team that's being built up, because for so long there was a time when we had to get staffed up and we had to do a bunch of stuff, and now that the audit team is almost at full capacity, I think that may be something worth, even if it's just in an introduction phase of who's who, what they do, and what they bring to the internal audit division. I think that would be a good thing for the board to see.
Well, I'm proud of my team, and I'm also proud to surround myself with people that are smarter than myself.
Oh, my. Oh, we'd like to have that repeated. Madam Chairman, on page 19, under Paratransit Supplemental Services, you list the 3 subs that we have, and I note, of course I keep up with it, that this contract is coming to a close, and we'll be looking at them again. But today, I'm glad to see we have with us the Managing Director of GC Logistics, Tom Mcdonald, is here. Tom, do you want to say good morning?
Good morning, everybody. Very nice to see everybody again. I have Walker Thomas here, who's our local general manager on the ground, and we've enjoyed serving with him for the last 3 years.
They have been a brand new company, and they have done an excellent job. And I'm very proud of their response to Cleveland, and we'll look forward to me talking more about it when it comes contract time. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you. Thank you.
Are there any questions for, this is a committee report and a summary, but because mostly of the committee members, we asked a lot of questions, but are there any questions or comments from the whole board or the committee? Hearing none, I think that we can adjourn. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Second, Valerie?
Oh, wait, does this need to be accepted by the whole board? Or this is just a report, right? Okay. All right, so there's a motion to adjourn, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? We're adjourned.
I call into order the Board of Trustees meeting for Tuesday, August the 23rd, 2022. Call to order, please.
All right. Mayor Biassiata,
Here.
Mr. Joyce,
Here.
Mayor Kumar, President Lucas,
Present.
Ms. McCall,
Here.
Ms. Moss,
Here.
Ms. Peo,
Here.
Mayor Weiss,
Present.
and Ms. Welch.
Here.
We have 8 board members present.
All right, we have the certification.
Okay, Mr. President, I first advise that notice of this meeting has been posted more than 24 hours in advance of the meeting, that the usual notification has been given the news media and other interested persons, and that all requirements of the Ohio Revised Code and rules and bylaws of this board regarding notice of meeting have been complied with.
Thank you very much. We now have the approval of the July 26th board meeting minutes. We have a motion.
So moved, Valerie?
Is there a second?
Second, Luz.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. Prior to the public comments, I want you to know that I'm not wearing my hat to be stylish, but as you know, I'm a vicar in my church. Once you're a vicar, your head should not be covered, and I forgot my consecrated cap this morning, so that's why I have on this hat, where anybody writes me a little note thinking maybe I forgot to take off my cap. All right, public comments, 2 minutes. Anyone's here? All right, how are you, my brother? Good to see you. These are on agenda items.
Major Luke, good morning, President Lucas. Good morning, everybody, to the members of the Board of Trustees. I would like to, I like the cleanliness of the vehicles, but see, here's the deal. When you have like subcontractors like Paratransit, GC Logistics is doing really good in their cleaning on their vehicles. But when you have Paratransit, you don't have clean vehicles. It's very poor. It's not there. It's not. See, one of the things that we're working from the NOAA's perspective, and we're reaching out to Congress, is we want to see RTA take more control over the paratransit service instead of hiring the subcontractors out. Like, keep the good ones and leave the bad ones. We just need to bring that back to RTA's control, because whatever you subcontract out just doesn't pan out very well. And it's not to the customer's satisfaction, and sometimes it's not to the government's satisfaction. I mean, I've been doing advocacy work for people with disabilities for a long time to know that if you don't oversee what's going on in the streets, you won't get good results. And the scheduling is a little bit questionable too. You know, we need more schedulers. We need more dispatchers, and we need to like, even if we have to move the district to another location and expand the service so we can have more vehicles and more schedulers in the setting, that should be done too. All right, thank you.
All right. Anybody else here in the building for public comment? Anybody else? Anybody else? If not, we will go to the phone.
In the back, do we have anybody on the phone?
We do. We have 3 callers on the phone.
Go ahead, Sue.
Okay, first caller, you're on the air. What's the extension? What's the extension? Oh,
5183. Hello, caller.
caller from 5183. Go ahead.
Is the line unmuted on the system?
Can we move to the
That
next
caller
caller
hung
and then
up.
come back, circle back?
Caller from 0387.
Caller from
Can I be heard
03.
clearly?
Okay.
Yes,
go
you
ahead,
can.
sir.
Thank you.
Okay, this isn't. I would like some additional time other than the 2 minutes because there's some things that were brought up by your agency members that needs to be corrected that are separate from what I was actually calling about. Starting with this, if that time could be extended past 2 minutes, that would be a good thing. Aaron kept referencing percentages of these random samples that they claimed that they did. But if he had people out there on the buses and on the trains, then he knows the actual number. And if your intention is to move to an accurate assessment of the facts, rather than using percentages based on something that goes up to 100%, give the actual numbers so that people really know how many people you talk to and if they were separate from the people from the other people that were doing the surveys. That's bad business. To imply that, your random samples represent the majority of the ridership is wrong. It only represents a number of people that you talk with. And then brings me to Valerie McCall, who went on to say that, well, if you're doing random samples, you're not going to get some of the same people twice. You don't know that because it's random. He kept saying it was random. You shouldn't be doing just random and not keep account for the people that you're talking with. Back to Aaron again. Aaron Bingham also made a point of saying that, we want to do what our riders want us to do rather than just a small number of complaints. Well, I say to you, if those small number of complaints are speaking on behalf of larger numbers of people that have been led to believe that you don't care, and those small number of complaints are pointing to an accurate assessment of the facts of what needs to be done, meaning corrected by your agency, then you shouldn't be disregarding those small number of complaints, which is actually what you've been doing when me and some other people have called in and sent you emails. That brings me to India Birdsong, who made a comment about not wanting to preach to the choir, no pun intended, but she was chuckling because it was a pun intended. In addition to that, it's not a coincidence that India Birdsong was chuckling when she made the comment that, hey, the public is important to us.
Mr. Chair, that's
important.
2 minutes to the chair.
That brings me to what I was actually calling about in the first place, which I think is immensely important. This is an accurate assessment of facts, and this is referencing the importance of mobility for the public. I have repeatedly been giving you information about how this 15A and this 48A should be put in place. You do believe that this service is important from Tri-C to
In the back, that's 2 minutes. We give each speaker 2 minutes.
You also believe that service will be accommodated by
The next caller, please.
Good morning. My name is Toria Gardner. I called in last month to the board meeting in reference to several phone calls, emails, and a civil rights complaint that I filed, and I did not receive a satisfactory response. Someone was supposed to take my phone number. I was disconnected. I did call Mrs. Birdsong. I called your administrative assistant, and I left a message on her voicemail explaining the situation, and to date, I have had no follow-up.
Let us have your name and phone number again.
No one took my phone number or anything. The phone was disconnected, so I did call the office house.
We have her
We have
number
her
in the
number
back.
on file. We have her number.
You have a number?
I beg your pardon?
We have your number, and
Okay, can I have a question? I have a question. You have my name, you have my number, yet there's been no follow-up.
yes, there'll be a follow-up. I'll make sure to it myself. All right, next.
Can I ascertain as to why there was no follow-up.
All right,
I just
next
wanted
call.
to ascertain that.
What did you say?
I wanted to ascertain why there was no follow-up.
Well, we're going to take care of it now. We have your name and number, and I assure you we'll get back with you and get to the bottom of this. Anything else?
Thank you, sir. No, sir.
Is there another call? Is there another call?
No more colors.
That's it? All right, thank you very much. All right, we now have a series of chairpersons. Any of the chairpersons have a report? Anybody have a report? Yes, Bailey?
Yes, the Ad hoc Tech Committee will be meeting on August 24th in this room at 5 p.m. Thank you.
All right, anybody else? All right. This is looking ahead. We are going to talk about our Civilian Review Board, and I'm delighted that we are making the appointment of Trustee Lauren Welch will be our representative on that board when it is complete. And I thank her give her a hand. I thank her for accepting this appointment. All right. Introduction of new employees and announcement of promotion. Mr. George Field is here.
Good morning, Mr. President, members of the board, Ms. Bergsong. It's my pleasure to introduce our new hires and promotions for August. We'll start with our new hires. Matthew Watts, operator. Lucy Hammond, operator. Devon Young, operator. Tasha Ram, operator. Alton Curley, janitor. Delonzo Carey, laborer. Brittany Williams, crisis intervention specialist. And Xenia Bader, crisis intervention specialist. Tori Blevins, transit ambassador, as well as the rest of the transit ambassadors, Ebony Allen, Kimberly King, Janice Brooks, and Terrence Jackson. Now for our promotion for August, we have Janet Burney for our Deputy General Manager of Legal Affairs. Please join me in giving these folks a congratulations and round of applause. That's it, Mr. President.
The transit ambassadors, I understand, will begin their work. Chief is still here? They'll begin their work when, Chief?
They'll hit the road on September 12th.
September the what?
September the 12th.
And I will be there?
You'd better be there, sir.
All right. On the 12th, make sure we are there. You are there too. And trustees, this is a big moment for us. I want us to be there on the 12th. Thank you, Mr. Fields.
Right.
All right, introduction of resolutions. Ms. Barrage, are you ready? 2022-72.
All right. Authorizing contract number 2022-039A with Community Insurance Company, DBA, Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield to provide medical and prescription drug benefits for a period of 1 year with 3 one-year options in amounts estimated at $31,930,000 and $4,640,000 respectively, for a total contract amount estimated at $36,570,000 for the first year. General fund, various department budgets.
Well, you've heard, is there a motion?
Move to adopt.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And again, I say to the public and those who are listening, all of these resolutions have been in committee, they've been dissected and deep dived and everything else. before they get to this point. All right, 2022-73.
Authorizing contract number 2022-039B with National Vision Administrators, LLC, to provide vision benefits for a period of 1 year with 3 one-year options in an amount estimated at $112,728 for the first year. General fund, various department budgets.
All right, you have heard this. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is
Mayor
there a
Weiss.
second?
Second, Valerie.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? 2022-74.
Authorizing contract number 2022-039C with Delta Dental Plan of Ohio Incorporated to provide dental benefits for a period of 1 year with 3 one-year options in an amount estimated at $1,100,000 for the first year. General fund, various department budgets.
Well, you've heard the resolution. Is there a motion?
So moved. Mayor Weiss.
Is there a second?
Second, Biassiata.
Thank you very much. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? 2022-75.
Authorizing contract number 2022-39D with Metropolitan Life Insurance Company to provide life insurance and flexible spending account benefits for a period of 1 year with 3 one-year options in an amount estimated at $380,000 and $20,000 respectively, for a total contract amount estimated at $400,000 for the first year. General fund, various department budgets.
All right. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second. Mayor
Any
Weiss.
discussion? We have a great insurance department. They do an excellent job. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, anyone opposed? Thank you. 2022-76.
Authorizing contract number 2022-044 with Ion Risk Services Northeast Incorporated to provide property and crime insurance broker services in amount not to exceed $243,000 for the base 3 years and in amounts not to exceed $85,050 and $89,300 for each option year respectively, for a total contract amount not to exceed $417,350 for the 5-year period. General fund, risk management department budget.
All right, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Mayor Weiss.
Any discussion? All those in favor, aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Thank you very much.
Wait a minute, I'm sorry.
2022-77.
I'm sorry, Chair.
Did you want to abstain? Well, we have 2 insurance. Is this the one? You want to state it to the?
Yes, yes, Mr., can we do a roll call on this one?
Roll call.
All right, Mayor Biassiata.
Yes.
Mr. Joyce.
Yes.
President Lucas.
Yes.
Ms. McCall.
Abstain.
Ms. Moss.
Yes.
Ms. Pale.
Yes.
Mayor Weiss.
Yes.
And Ms. Welch.
Yes.
We have 7 ayes and 1 abstention.
Okay, thank you very much. 2022-77.
Authorizing contract number 2022-045 with Application Software Technology, LLC, to provide Oracle IaaS services for a total contract amount not to exceed $2,007,862. RTA Development Fund, Innovation and Technology Department budget.
Motion?
Move to approve, Biassiata.
Second?
Second, Luce.
Any discussion? All those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, no. Thank you very much. 2022-78.
Authorizing contract number 2022-49 with Construction Support Solutions, LLC, for Project 19.46 on cost, schedule, and cost control, 2022, in an amount not to exceed $200,000 for a period of 24 months. RTA Capital and/or RTA Development Fund, Engineering and Project Development Department budget.
All right, we have a motion.
Move approval, Valerie.
Is there a second?
Second, Luce.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you very much. 2022-79.
Authorizing contract number 2022-078 with Oracle America Incorporated to provide Oracle infrastructure as a service Subscription services in amount not to exceed $173,934. General Fund, Innovation and Technology Department budget.
All right, any discussion? I'm sorry, motion.
Move to approve.
Any discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. 2022-80.
Authorizing the purchase of casualty insurance with various insurance underwriters through USI Insurance Services National Incorporated and Price Forbes and Partners Limited or their successors for a period of 12 months in a total amount not to exceed $2,044,610. Insurance and General Funds Risk Management Department budget.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Your second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, roll call, please.
Roll call has been requested.
All right. Mayor Biassiata,
Yes.
Mr. Joyce,
Yes.
President Lucas,
Yes.
Ms. McCall,
Abstain.
Ms. Moss,
Yes.
Ms. Peo,
Yes.
Mayor Weiss,
Yes.
and Ms. Welch.
Yes.
We have 7 ayes and 1 abstention.
Thank you very much. 2022-81.
Authorizing the donation of transit coach numbers 1803 and 1806 to the Cuyahoga Community College District's Transportation Innovation Center.
Is there a motion?
So moved, Mayor Weiss.
Second.
Second, Luce.
Thank you. Those of us who we went out to see what's going on at the college, it's a fantastic department. And I'm so very glad that we're going to continue this by donating these coaches. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? Thank you very much. 2022-82.
Enacting Section 222.05 of the Codify Rules and Regulations of the Greater Cleveland Regional Transit Authority to create an independent civilian oversight committee for review of public complaints against Transit Police Department employees.
All right, you've heard that. Is there a motion?
So moved, Luce.
Second?
Second, Valerie.
Discussion?
One comment,
Comment?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sure.
I know some comments were made earlier about the importance of this particular resolution, and I think I can speak on behalf of the whole board in our appreciation for the effort that went into all the hard work on this. But I just wanted to say in particular, I appreciated the administration's ability or willingness to take comment and feedback from the board and incorporate some of the comments that we received at our retreat or were given at the retreat and incorporated into the resolution and the actual rules and regulations. So I appreciate it.
Very good. Thank you for those comments. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you very much. 2022-83.
Amending the appropriations for the current expenses and other expenditures for the Greater Cleveland Regional Transit Authority as adopted in Resolution Number 2021-112 and amended in Resolution Number 2022-068 to increase the number of positions for members of the Civilian Oversight Committee.
All right. This is, may I have a motion?
So
Motion.
moved, Mayor
A
Weiss.
second?
Second, Welch.
This is what we were talking about earlier, and we're really excited about getting this underway. And I'm again thankful for Trustee Welch who's going to be a part of this. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. Also want to thank the president who got all the way through this time without missing out any number. We have, before the Secretary report, we have some guests here from Tri-C, and I'd like to invite them to the podium to say good morning to us.
While they're walking up to the podium, thank you, if I may, Reverend Lucas, to reintroduce the partnership that RTA has with Tri-C. We have several familiar faces here. I'll let them kind of introduce themselves and what they do for Tri-C, as well as our partnership detail. These two individuals that we have before you are instrumental, I think, in some of the partnerships we have regarding training, especially our frontline workers as it pertains to our operations division and maintenance specifically, and bus operations. And so it's our pleasure to be able to work with Tri-C to really gift the vehicles for the training purposes. So if you would continue, thank you so much. And we'll miss you quite frequently. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, President Lucas and trustee members. Thank you to the audience and the other staff here from RTA. I bring you greetings from Tri-C. My name is Alicia Booker. I serve as the Vice President over our Manufacturing Technology Center, and also with me is my Director over our Transportation Innovation Center, Ian Wilson. Ian and the folks here at RTA have worked very hard to expand training opportunities, not just for the employees here at RTA, but also for the community. And that's the more important part of what we do, is really providing an opportunity to not only get skills, but to get job opportunities, and also to expand job hub opportunities, which is what we have at our transportation center. This is going to be critically important as we look to make sure that we have the workforce of the future, and also making sure that folks have really that on-ramp of that upskilling and that first step into real life-changing employment. So we're very, very thankful for this gift and for the opportunity to expand those opportunities for training that we have at Tri-C. Now I'm going to allow Ian to say a few words and talk a little bit about how we plan to use the gift.
Thank you. The bus donations will help indirectly with people that's already got CDLs that may be interested in adding the passenger endorsement, which obviously gives them an opportunity to see that we're working with RTA in a collaborative attempt, which may then give them a thought to, oh, I never thought about going to work for them once I've done this. So it opens a whole new talking point as to job opportunities as part of the job hub. We are limited by the number of students that we can train because of the number of vehicles that we have. So this will help us tremendously. As we currently work with RTA in developing the operator CDL permit training class, having these vehicles will also give us the opportunity to be able to show these students before they ever get to RTA the relevancy of what we're teaching them to get their permit. So it has a twofold help there. The donation, I think, solidifies the close collaborative relationship between RTA and Cuyahoga Community College, especially the Transportation Innovation Center. And it then brings this job hub to even greater heights in relation to what we're doing together. I think at some point in the future, it may be worth a discussion as to how we can probably co-brand these buses to be able to show that connectivity as part of to the community. And I think that's really important. And again, I would like to thank you very much for this generous donation. Thank you.
Thank you. We thank you for the work that you do at the college. Let's give them a hand. We're just glad to have them.
Thank you.
All right, we now move to our Secretary Treasurer, who's been anxiously waiting to give us his report.
Thank you. Good morning, President Lucas, members of the board. My name is Raj Gautam. I am the Secretary Treasurer and the Deputy General Manager of Finance. As has been the tradition, we'll just review the overall economic conditions that affect our region in particular. I think this slide, as you're all aware, looks at the unemployment rate from 2019 through June, July, and I hesitate over there because I think you've got one extra month of the U.S. Unemployment rate, but we wanted to show that as information as far as where the trends are going. So the U.S. unemployment rate dropped from 3.6% in June to 3.5%. Ohio unemployment rate has remained steady at 3.9%, but that data obviously relates to the previous month. But keeping in mind what I just stated, that it's a trend thing, my expectation would be in the following months, there would be that continued downtrend. Cuyahoga County unemployment rate has remained steady at 5.5%. Looking at the 5 largest metropolitan statistical areas in Ohio, over the past 3 years, as has been pointed out previously, the height of the labor force was in February 2020, which was before the pandemic. After the pandemic, we're now finally back to pre-COVID unemployment rates. For June, unemployment rates were largely unchanged for all except one of the metropolitan statistical areas. Cleveland MSA was 5.5% unchanged, Cincinnati 3.3%, Columbus 3.2%, Dayton 3.7%, and Toledo was the only one that experienced a downward movement, down from 4% to 3.9%. July ridership for the month was 15.8% above the comparable period in 2021, for July 2021. On a year-to-date basis, the ridership is 18.8% above 2021 levels. Compared to 2021, ridership has increased on most modes. Paratransit is up 20%, regular bus 18.6%, heavy rail 12.9%, Healthline 12.5%. The July fare revenue was $2.2 million, which is 25.4% higher than June 2021. I'm sorry, it should be July 2021. 21.2% higher than the budgeted amount. And on a year-to-date basis, the passenger fares are 22.7% higher than the same period in 2021. Sales tax, some changes. I mean, some of us have been wondering as to when the economic conditions were going to impact the sales tax revenue, which, remember, if we all recall, represents the largest unrestricted source of revenue for our operations. For August 2022, when compared to August 2021, the sales tax was still up by 2.4%. So obviously not the double digits that we were experiencing in the early part of the year. 15 of the 23 categories that make up the sales tax base were positive in June. But for the first time, motor vehicles and watercraft showed a downward trend in June, which were 20.5% lower. Online sales still remain extremely strong at 37.2%, and regular and statewide sales are 9.4% higher. And with that, I'll be happy to take any questions.
All right, any questions for our Secretary of Treasury? If not, thank you very much. As always, an excellent report.
Thank you.
Hearing now from our General Manager in the bird song.
Thank you very much, President Lucas. I come before you one more time to give you the General Manager's CEO report for August. Just wanted to be able to give you information hot off the presses. We did receive notification yesterday that we are the recipients of an $8 million funding for rail car replacement. We're very excited about that.
Wonderful. That's good news.
Absolutely good news. Fantastic news. And then, of course, $3.5 million for the bus improvement program through the UTP, or the Urban Transit Program. This is fantastic as well.
All right.
So kudos to the team that has submitted those grant applications under Mike Shipper's tutelage, and Mary Flannery, I believe, is the wizard behind a lot of those applications. So Mary, fantastic job. This is a great achievement for not only the authority, but for bus operations and rail operations. I know that Doc is smiling underneath his mask, so we're excited about that, getting a little closer.
Shipper's here. Is Mary here? Mary's
She's on the virtual, I believe.
Mary's on the virtual, all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And thank you, Doc.
Absolutely. So celebrating that win, we'll continue on a high for a moment and be able to give you a little bit of information about our recent graduations. And this is an internal graduation ceremony program that we had at the districts. As you know, we call our garages and facilities for maintenance and operations our districts. So Rail, Triscuit, Paratransit, and Hayden all had recognition ceremonies or graduations that were honoring the employees that really just shone beyond what we could have imagined in our positive impact program. And that's really a mentoring program to be able to kind of get that one-on-one time with seasoned professionals here at RTA. And it was a nice exploration of their kind of collective efforts. Those ceremonies were attended by many of our deputies. I believe Janet, our new general counsel, got a chance to visit Hayden as well. And that was a really sweet moment for her, as well as we had representation from the engineering community. I believe we actually might have had a board meeting on one of those ceremony days. So I believe Joe Schaefer might have been in attendance from engineering. We also had Doc Caver, who represented from operations, of course. And then I believe our last attendee was also, George Fields is usually at all of them. I'll just use you as default, George. And then Raj, I'm not sure if you were attending, I think the last one. So we appreciate that support from our deputies. Also wanted to highlight our participation in the 52nd Annual Puerto Rican Day Parade of Greater Cleveland. This happened on August 7th. The kickoff was at 11 a.m. Toward the Clemente Park area. We, of course, were joined by our illustrious board chair, as well as a host of TP, Transit Police, and employees and family members and friends. It was really a nice event, good weather, so I'm told. And, of course, you can see the festivities through the motorcycle parade on the slide in front. Also wanted to give you a quick update. If you remember at the last meeting, I believe it was, or the one before, I brought to you the opportunity to be able to have an art installation on one of our piers. That was one of the 3 locations we brought before Graffiti Heart. This was a partnership. This was a donated artwork that was provided to us in real time. So the French stencil artist, Blick Lerat, who hailed from Paris, actually, traveled all the way here from France to be able to bestow upon us his artwork, in addition to a few other locations throughout Cleveland. It really was just a treat to be able to see him work in real life and in real time. As you can see there, I enjoyed meeting with him, as well as, of course, Luz Payot, our esteemed board member, who facilitated that connection. So we appreciate that. And I believe I have a call into Global Cleveland, Ms. McCall, to be able to talk about that sister city connection. All right, Touch a Truck. This is really just an important event where we have the transit police and rail districts on hand, RTA vehicles, as well as our ID Transit Police Kid Watch program. This has been appreciated by a lot of our board members. I know I spoke with Mayor Biasiata yesterday about it, and just being able to have that kind of support. Again, our board chair and many of our board members and communities that find it's important to be able to reach out and not only touch a truck, but be able to kind of have that interaction with transit police and rail. It was a great day, and from what I see, we've had a lot of bolstered participation in that as well. Hundreds of people on the square.
Good crowd, very good crowd.
Yeah. Thank you. Rail Rodeo. We've been busy. We've been doing a lot this summer. The Rail Rodeo is an internal competition that's held at our rail district. Again, that was August 13th, so that was a busy weekend there. Starts at 7 a.m., goes about to 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's a competition. Really just a great precursor of our kind of gearing up for any international competition that might be hosted by APTA or other. It was really just a fun time. We had a lot of good winners, a lot of just solid competencies when you get into the maintenance and also the rail power and way. Congratulations to all the winners. We're looking forward to the next competition, and then also any international competition that may come out. Just as a precursor for the board, I have been in conversation with APTA regarding our hosting potentially of future rail events. They usually do have a pretty robust annual conference. We are tentatively slated for 2024 for just the conference itself. The rodeo portion has been suspended through COVID. However, I have put a pointed request to make sure that we can serve as the host in out years, potentially 27 or 28, when we have our rail fleet up and running, so that we can kind of show a rags to riches story as it pertains to our new fleet. So they've penciled us in for that, and so I'll be excited to see. Yes.
And just on this point, Mr. Chair, to the CEO, I think we should just pause and point out that the rail rodeo and the bus rodeo of APTA is a real event.
Mm-hmm.
There are teams that work hard every year to compete at this, and so it's the only event where we get to showcase our staff at APTA, like the hard work that our men and women put in behind the scenes. And so I don't want to minimize the importance. It's great to host a national competition, but this is more rewarding for the individuals that put in all the hard work every single day at APTA and at RTA and the other transit agencies across the country. So this really is a big event, this one and the bus rodeo. And if you haven't seen it, it's actually really cool to see. Mm-hmm. It's something to see. Maybe we can get some clips of some in the past and maybe show here at one of the board meetings to give some visual.
Absolutely. You were reading my mind when you're thinking, trying to explain it doesn't give it justice. It's hard to be able to imagine. My best correlation might be watching drag racing. I mean, you're thinking about it's that type of energy when you get into the actual wielding a 60-foot bus and trying not to hit a tennis ball. I mean, it's that type of acumen that goes into it and that precision. And then from the maintenance side, it's amazing when you get into the switchboards and you get into all of those different mechanisms and wiring and having to do it with a clock like this behind you ticking down. And the engines itself are probably 2 and 3 times the size of an actual person. As you can tell, I've been to a few rodeos, and it's a great opportunity. And just the pressure of being able to say that you're number one is awesome. And I believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, the awards usually have, along with it, travel for the winning teams, and then also bragging rights, where they call it international because we start to look into Canada and all of that. But it's amazing when you get into teams and you've got uniforms and the whole thing, and it's a big deal.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, to the CEO, not to be competitive, but it would be really cool if RTA won one year. I'm just saying.
That's why we asked for 2028. It just gives us a little time. But yes, it's a great opportunity. All right, moving on, we've got the corporate challenge. We, of course, usually participate in this, and you can just see the energy in the photos that you see here. Tug of war, I believe that we placed second in that, and then first in skee ball. So just a shout out to all of the employees that participated in that and just went out and had a great time. I hear that we've got a pretty competitive spirit amongst the private sector and the public, so we'll be looking to bump that second and the first next year. Human Rights Campaign, HRC, we wanted to be able to give a special shout out to our Chief of Police. Deidre Jones was honored over her tremendous work and leadership on behalf of Greater Cleveland and the LGBTQ community. She accepted this award from HRC over the past weekend and really just was celebrated for her work, and we can't be more proud of her achievements and leadership in our team. Chief, if you had a couple words, up to you. If not, I'll keep rolling. I know that you are a quiet soul. Okay. So I'll do it for her. I've been told that we have to toot our horn a little bit more than we normally do. So as our chief is definitely, I think, a doer more than a sayer. I appreciate the work and the representation that she has for equity, and I think also intentionality. It's really important, and the work that the transit police folks do is not easy by any means. So this is a special sort of recognition, and we appreciate you, Chief, and your work does not go unnoticed.
I'm sorry.
On behalf of the board, congratulations, Chief. We are just so very proud of you and proud of how you have taken charge of the force here. So on behalf of all of us who sit at this table, congratulations.
In that vein, we also have 3 other individuals in the room who did represent RTA in Cleveland at the American Public Transportation Association event and conference in Salt Lake City, Utah. So we have, of course, Board Member McCall, as well as Board Member Puerto, and our HR professional consummate, George Fields, that were able to really talk about the best practices and workforce shortages. I believe they talked about even things spanning the gamut of active shooter and a lot of different areas as far as being able to build the community in transit. At this point, I would like to be able to hand it over to Luz and Valerie if they have any comments for that particular event.
Sure, I'll start. I want to also throw on the fact that Aaron, who's sitting in the back trying to hide from TransPro,
oh yes, one more,
was actually there and presented to our conference. And just so everybody knows, the conference we went to was called the Transit Board Members and Trans Board Member Support Seminar. It's the one time each year when transit board members come together and do peer-to-peer, and we bring our transit board member support. And for those of you who don't know, we don't take this lightly. We don't do this by ourselves. Teresa Barrage is our transit board member support person here, and she's always doing all the hard work. We come together as transit board members with our transit board support, and we learn that peer-to-peer so we can be better transit board members on the ground. It's one thing to sit here and to say, okay, this is what's happening here. It's another to step outside of our boundaries and understand what's happening nationally and internationally in the field of public transportation. And I want to thank my board member, Luz, for going with me. I made sure she met everyone. I made sure that everybody knew that she was a board member so that she can start getting acclimated. People were highly impressed that we have a board member who has an IT background as well as a DEI-focused background. That's very important. On the national side, it's not that many people that have that background. In addition, George Wildem, I had to go up and segregate him and tell people, no, you cannot talk to him. He is not a free agent. But he really did wow them with his presentation about workforce development. And the panel I presented on is a thing that we talk about all the time here. You all know this. We go through it every single year. How do we find the right CEO performance evaluations? And it was a phenomenal panel just to see how other agencies, for my colleagues, we are not the only ones that haven't figured it out. But there are some agencies that really have gotten some good CEO, and when we do our internal audit, performance valuation. So it was a really great conference, and that's why I'm going to put a plug in it again. I'm glad to see so many of our board members are going to be going to the APTA annual meeting this year. It really is our nation's industry standard for how we learn how to be good board members. We have a request from APTA that our CEO get more engaged, and she's told them once I, get on the ground more here, I will get more active. But it really is, that's our association. Our chairman has been very supportive of that. He's been to APTA. He's getting engaged in APTA. And so again, when we mention APTA, American Public Transportation Association, we don't mention it lightly. That is our industry, our association that we lean to, that we look to give us direction. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Luz.
Thank you, Ms. McCall. You took a lot of words out of my mouth with your comments, so thank you for that. And yes, that was my first time attending the APTA conference, and it was great. It was a great meeting a lot of people from different agencies across our nation, and also showcasing what the Greater Cleveland RTA does, to our peers. So it was fantastic. It was great, and I do look forward to November. I think it's November
for the next one.
For the next conference.
October.
So,
yeah. Thank you.
Thank
I appreciate you both. George, I don't want to skip you, but you got 30 seconds if you have anything for HR.
No, I just really appreciate.
Got it. We appreciate you for being able to represent us, so thank you all three. Only 2 more slides for you, and then I'll wrap up. We have a Lean Six Sigma program here at RTA. If you have not heard of that before, it's really a kind of efficiency program where we have individuals go through that process and be able to be trained by Tri-C corporate college professionals as well. So there's a boot camp involved, an introductory course, and then you get a belt at the end of it to show your competency in waste sort of efficiency protocols. And we have 31 employees since the end of 2021. You see the stats in front of you. The crux of it is that we had 11 that recently earned green belt, and then 4 who earned black belt. So we're looking forward to celebrating with those employees, and congratulations to them all. The last, just a quick wrap up, Easy Fare. As you know, we had a really good launch for that in June. Just to keep you updated, the short-term and the long-term goals for that are listed in front of you. I won't go into too much detail, but we are working through the next steps for Easy Fare, and also working through tweaking the system to make sure that it's an easier platform, and working through all of the bugs. But so far, so good, with a really good usage rate as well. With that, yes.
I just have a quick comment on the Easy Fare.
Mhm.
I noticed, like, when people have it on their phones, and maybe they're not the regular travelers, when they come through the stalls and in Tower City, like, they're looking at their phone and they, like, they've got it, but they don't know what to do or where to go, or the steps on how to use that. So I'm wondering if there's some way, of course there's the guy in the black or in the glass box that can go to and try and help, but is there some way that we could, when the trains arrive, like, help people do that? Because, once you know how, I think that's one thing, but as a starter, and especially like at our big stops, whether that be, at the airport or at 25th Street, or how do people use that is not clear.
Sure. So I appreciate the input, and kind of just caucusing over here. We'll make sure to be able to kind of work on that as far as tutelage for riders that are utilizing it in Tower City. That won't be the immediate focus of the ambassadors, but they could also be used to be able to kind of deploy and help through that. And then Tony's group in IA has also been working with Mike Lively and the ITS team as far as kind of auditing the system. So we'll take that into account and make recommendations.
Yeah, I've seen that as well.
Okay.
People having difficulty
Understanding how to use it. Where to use. Okay.
It's a good system.
Got it. We're working on it. We'll make it better. Appreciate that. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. For the President's report, you've seen a lot of the things we've been doing, and I appreciate the opportunity to represent the board at these various events. But I'm going to change my report a little bit today. I'm going to ask the board members if they'll come and stand kind of right behind me. They will, all board members. And we're going to ask Cheryl Benford if she'll come forward.
In the center, right next to him.
Yeah. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, we want to first just thank you for the keen legal advice that you have given to all of us and to this board and this staff for these last 22 years. I know I personally, as president, I just feel so grateful for you. And on behalf of this board, you've talked to all of us individually at times, and you've been right here at the meetings. So we want to do just a little something to say thank you. So we want to take you to dinner, and this is dinner money, and so pretend that we're all sitting there with you, and you picked a place, and in your hand are 22 roses for the 22 years that you've been with us. Thank you again, Cheryl.
Thank you so much.
I have a word. Won't you have a word, Attorney?
Oh, you want a lawyer to have a word?
Yeah. Not like a preacher. So.
No, it has been, thank you. This has been a wonderful 22 years. When I interview people who want to ask me about this job, I tell them there is never a dull moment. You will never be bored. But we provide a public service that is so needed, and a public service that got me to school, a public service that got me to work, and to be able to be the back office, to do all the work we need to do it the right way, to do the things we need to do to make it the best. It has been my pleasure and my honor. And as a side note, to be the first woman to ever do the job, it at first was a challenge, and then a triumph, and then grateful for the clients I've served and the client we all serve, the Greater Cleveland Regional Transit Authority. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Anybody else want to, any trustee want to have a word now? All right, thank you. Thank you. As you know, Cheryl has agreed to be an advisor to us for a while, and we are in the capable hands of Judge Janet Burney, and we welcome her full steam ahead. Which she said, there's never a dull moment. All right. That concludes my report, and almost concludes the meeting.
We're at public comments again. We have
Yes.
old, new business,
Yeah,
and then public comments.
On my way to my page, Reese is so very kind. Any old business before us today? Any old business? Any new business? All right, we now will have public comments. Anyone here wishing to have a comment? Anyone here? All right. Yes, I see you.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you first for this new podium, which doesn't look too big to block me, so you guys can see me better. Secondly, I would like to really show my appreciation about some of the improvements we have got together. However, of course, there's always room for improvement. For example, in our report, and also the mayor here also mentioned that we do need to measure certain things to understand how our training is being effective or not. Because recently, you can see I still have the easy fare linears on me because I have been helping people installing the app and using the app. But we do find out one technical issue, which I will definitely address tomorrow in more detail, is that lots of people using the new app purchasing a ticket, but the ticket will show up in the old app, which was already disabled. So the validator will not scan them. And that really creates lots of troubles for the drivers and for the riders. The other thing will be the training on our customer service, especially with the drivers. The people working at the GCRTA for a longer time, it seems like their training has been very solid. They will be very courteous, get out of their driver's seats, putting the seats down for the people with wheelchair or walkers, but not all the new drivers. And still, the misleading white piece installing at the Healthline platform, these new drivers still dock the vehicle very far away. That does cause a very big inconvenience and actually safety issues for the seniors, for the people with a stroller, walker, wheelchair, even using crutches. So I think all these things, I think our dock minor walker there will really help us out to have a better internal communication within GCRTA to improve our training. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else here want to make comments? Anybody else? Anybody else? If not, we'll go to the phone.
We have two callers online. First caller ending in 0387.
So if you take the suggested number 15A bus and start it at its furthest eastern point at Pinecrest Shopping Mall, which is about 600 meters to a mile east of where the regular 15 stops Tri-C East, you'll give additional service and take people to the most common type of job in the city of Cleveland, which is a retail job. So if that bus runs hourly from Pinecrest Mall for a 16-hour period, then you can run the 15 every 20 minutes for a 16-hour period, and you'll still have every 15-minute service up to a point. And this 15A will service Tri-C East. It will transfer anything that needs to be transferred at Warrensville Center, and then it will turn north on either 177th or 173rd, where it will ultimately come out on Glendale and Lee or Walden and Lee 4 to 6 minutes later and still be able to transfer to the 40 bus. This same number 15A bus, which would now go into the northwest drift, will go down to 154th Street, down to Bartlett, where it would accent what should be the 48A and what is the 48. The 15 also accents what is the 48 and what should be the 48A. From Harvard to Corlett, this 15A bus will come out about a block, 2 blocks north of where the 15 stops the accent. But it will continue to accent the 48 and what should be the 48A all the way up to its point where it goes to Shaker Boulevard, which means through Shaker Square. I repeat, the most common job in Cleveland is a retail job. This 15A bus can then go down Shaker Boulevard from Shaker Square, where it will be able to pick up people that the regular rapid blue-green line can't pick up people because they don't have the same type of service. People that can't get on that rapid bus is pushed down. This bus will go to 116th and Shaker Boulevard near the Harvey Rice Library, Elementary School, and Social Security office, and then complement service for the 50
To the
bus.
chair, that's
Still
2 minutes.
Hourly bus, but should go to Marymount. Then this 15A bus will go through University Circle, where it will pick up the red line, transfer, go down Quincy, and then once it gets to 40th, it will be back on the same route with the regular 15 up to Cleveland State, where this bus would end and then turn back around. Also, give
In the back, that's 2 minutes.
This is Charity Hospital. This is a good route, and this route should be put in place.
All right, thank you. Any other callers?
Next caller,
Hi,
extension 9716.
Hi, I participate in the board meetings using the virtually using YouTube. However, using that platform, I'm not able to communicate audibly. I actually have to leave that platform and then dial in. So I would encourage you guys to use a more user-friendly, participant-friendly platform. Also, I have a question. That $3.5 million bus improvement program, will that program be used to begin implementation of the electric buses? And thirdly, what is the board's process in the interest of customer participation and friendliness? What is the board's process for increasing the public comment time from 2 minutes?
Thank you very much.
Oh, and one more thing. On the website, there should be, I would suggest that you guys have a way that we can add meetings to our Outlook calendars when we click on it from the website. And that's it. And I'll wait offline for feedback.
Right, very good. Thank you. So you'll wait off, and we will make sure we get to you. Any other callers? Any other callers?
Do we have any more callers in the back?
Callers.
All right. Hearing none, thank you very much, and we thank those who called in. I thank those of you. We have a number of people here in the audience today. We're very glad to see you. My good brother from Atlanta, you're wearing those shoes again, and I've asked you not to wear them here unless you're going to leave me a pair. All right. Anything else from any board member? If not, the next regular board meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, September the 20th. Boy, my, it seems like the summer has gone by in a wink. In this room, the meeting will be live streamed as usual. If there's nothing else, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Valerie.
Is there a second? It's not debatable. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Oh, no, God be with you till we meet again.